Good morning. My name is Chris Fox, and today we're talking about fixing thriller covers. And this is relevant. If you watched last week's video, we went over all the covers in my back catalog because my first archaeological thriller missed the mark in its genre and is not doing as well as it could because the cover is just not appropriate. It's not a thriller cover, it's very much fantasy cover. And today we're going to talk about what I've researched and what I've learned about thriller covers. So I was very fortunate. I used the Giza Protocol cover in the last video and showed like this is a classic example of what a really good thriller should look like. And Luke saw the video. So Luke reached out to me. We talked a little bit through emails, and he was kind enough to give some feedback on one of the new mock-ups that I've done. So I've created two different mock-ups so far. One of them I had done by a freelancer, and I very quickly realized this is not going to work. And I'll flash that up real quick. You can see I asked for a diver looking into an ancient shipwreck and having a red gold glow come out because that's what auriculum would be. And I described the image in pretty exquisite detail, and this is what I got back. I really genuinely believe a lot of the freelancers out there are either using artificial intelligence to generate composite images where they'll get part of an image from AI and then another part of an image from a different AI. They'll query for different things, and then they'll put them together in Photoshop and hack together an image, which is exactly what I did for this mock-up. This is the latest mock-up. I put this together. I grabbed a few different pieces of artwork. I opened Procreate on my iPad. I erased the parts of the images that I didn't want. I kept the cropped parts that I wanted. And this is the result. So I don't own the rights to any of this, but that's what I was seeing from people on sites like Upwork and Behance. They weren't giving me actual covers. They weren't doing the work. It would take them like 45 minutes to answer a query because they're going out and they're stealing other people's IP. So that's no good. And I guess that's kind of an aside, just that it's hard to find somebody to do the style that I'm going to need for a thriller. But let's get into what makes a thriller cover different. So I'm going to show you a bunch of thriller covers. Luke sent me an image that was similar to this that he called a mood board, which I thought was really fascinating, where he'd look at it before he made his next cover. And he's basically looking at a bunch of examples of really good covers in his genre and then deciding what to make himself. So I've done the same thing here. I went out and found a similar array of covers, some of which include his. And I look at this and you can see the commonalities right off the bat, what makes them similar. In the same way, if you look at science fiction, you can see what makes science fiction covers the same, which I have a lot more practice with. So what makes thriller covers? The title is far more important than anything else. And the typography on that, you'll notice, is similar on all of these covers because it has to be, because it's legible in the thumbnail. I look at the thumbnail and instead of seeing a dragon, which I'll recognize in fantasy, or a spaceship, which I'll recognize in sci-fi, I see a title which I can read. And I might also see some part of the image that is something I can identify. But if you look at something like, let's say, The Atlantis Gene, A.G. Riddle, this came out, Jerry's book came out, and it was like one of the top 100 books on all of Amazon for a long time. And so far as I know, he wasn't advertising it. It was solely through the fact that thriller readers found the concept promising, where you read the Atlantis gene and you're like, wait a minute, it sounds like some of humanity's genes came from an ancient race of Atlanteans. You do the math in your head and you're willing to click on the book and look and see, and yup, that's exactly what the book is about. So I was one of them. I bought the book, I read it, I liked it, I read the sequels. That was done because as I was cruising down and looking at the thumbnails, my brain registered the symbols, Atlantis, the word, and gene. That's done because on thriller books, you're just looking at the title. So I missed the mark there. If you look at my font on the mock-up, I'll flash that up again, it's not as legible and it's not as prominent and it still looks very fantasy. So when you see attempt number 2 at that, you're going to see mine looks a lot more like the font on the other existing thriller covers. And I'll find the appropriate symbol. I still haven't gotten it yet. I showed the mock-up with Atlantis and the wave destroying it and a little silhouette of Mitch, my protagonist, and he gave me some very good constructive feedback on why it wouldn't work. And then as I went and I looked at more thriller covers, I realized why. It's got to be photorealistic. So that's one thing. But also, none of them are these big sweeping action scenes. They're inevitably a picture of one thing. So like a Mayan temple in the jungle, a tablet, a shot of the pyramids on the Giza plateau. All of them have a similar setup and very few of them have a bunch of details. Most of them are one thing. And that's all you need, because most of what's going to be selling that book is the title. So I need a hyper realistic symbol of some kind. I'm thinking tablets for my next mock-up. I haven't quite finished that, although maybe as of recording this video, I took the time to do that. I'll insert the image in. If not, then we'll probably see that in a future video. But that'll be the next mock-up that I do, and I'm going to query the other thriller authors that I know, because one of the things that leapt immediately to my attention when Luke sent me his mood board is I know all these people. I'm like, wait, that's Kevin Tumlinson. I've known Kevin for a lot of times. Last time I saw him, I think was probably Nink in 2019, and Nick Thacker, last time I saw him was at 20 Books to 50K, what is now Author Nation, in 2021. But like, I know these guys. I haven't seen Ernie Dempsey since, gosh, probably Chicago, maybe 2019, I think, May of 2019. But I know all these people. I should reach out to them, and I really have the ability to ask, hey, listen, would you mind just taking 2 minutes to look at this cover? And what do you think? So I'm going to the right people now to make sure that I get the killer thriller covers. And I have really good news as far as the series. It only has 22 reviews so far, but it's got a 4.8 average. And everyone who's reached out to me has said, this is great. It's a fast, fun adventure book, and it's obvious your research was well done. That's what I need for a historical archaeological thriller. And that means that the book itself is strong. If I can nail the cover before the audio comes out, I really have a good chance of this series doing extraordinarily well financially. So I'm getting kind of excited about the possibilities there. The other things that have become very clear, the beta readers who've read book 2, Beneath Khafre's Pyramid, love it. And they say that it's better than book 1, which was kind of the goal. In the same way that Empire Strikes Back builds on the original Star Wars movie, I made a strong first book, but what you'll find is things are it'll feel a little bit easy for Mitch at certain points. All that's much harder in book 2, and all the advantages that he had in book 1 are taken away from him, and now he's got to figure out a way to make it work without, his cool powers. So I see a lot of potential in fixing this now that I have a good understanding of what makes a thriller cover. You got to get the typography right. You've got to pick the right symbol. And that's got to be legible as a thumbnail. And that's really all that matters for thrillers. That is how it differs primarily from fantasy. If you have fantasy or science fiction, the image itself is the most important thing and the title is secondary. So I'm looking for a spaceship or a dragon or a similar symbol in those genres. And once my eye has registered that, then I'm typically looking at the title. So reverse that with thrillers. I'm looking and the title's the most important thing. And then I look at the image. Okay, that looks interesting. I'm going to go read the blurb. So I have a much better idea on what makes a great thriller cover and a much better idea of what I need to do to get my series there. And I'm just going to keep working with mock-ups till I find the right cover. I might have to do 5 or 10 more. So odds are good we'll probably see a short third video. I don't know if it'll be right away. It might be another month or two before I get that out. And we've seen some performance numbers. But you will eventually see what the final product is. I expect Heir to Atlantis to do really well by the time books 2 and 3 are out. And I already have books 4 through 6 plotted. So I can really finish this series very quickly and get it out to market extraordinarily fast compared to some of my other series. So I'll get to an ending pretty quick. Anyway, this video is much shorter than the last one, which went over my entire back catalog of covers. I really just wanted to show you where I was at in the process and that I've done more mock-ups and I haven't worked. And that's fine, like trial and error, Thomas Edison. I haven't failed. I've found 1,000 ways that a light bulb won't work. I found a few thriller covers that didn't work, but I'm getting closer and closer to the mark and understanding more about the genre. That leads me to consulting. I mentioned in the last video, hey, I'm willing to consult. Oh my God, I had no idea what the outpouring of demand would be like. I got so many emails on the first day, and I'm still getting them now. They're trickling in quickly. As of this recording, I've already completed the first 2 consultations. They both went astoundingly well. It's really fun to be able to shock people because what the first guy, Scott, was expecting is that I would critique his cover, and that was enough for him to pay my fee. But I did a lot more than that. I gave him an entire marketing plan. I gave him a whole bunch of suggestions. I gave him 3 different possible cover ways, like directions he could go and why those were the right way to go. And then I also made an entirely new blurb from him that's way better than the one that he had. So I feel like I'm really getting a chance to over-deliver in value. And that's important to me because, as I mentioned in the last video, author services are really expensive and it's really easy to flush a bunch of money away and not get much back for it. I want to feel like if I'm charging, I'm kind of giving the money's worth to my clients. And I'm enjoying it is the other important thing, enough that I'm looking for more clients. If you're interested in having this done, I can fit you in probably the next couple of weeks. And I'm happy to look at your entire backlist, and we can talk about covers, we can talk about marketing, we can talk about blurbs, and we can get you an actionable plan where you can take your books from where you're at to the next level. You shouldn't need that if you're just starting on your first book, if you haven't published a book. I mean, if you have a great day job and you want to spend some money, I'm happy to talk to you, and we can give you an initial launch plan. But really, I'm talking to the authors who you've tried a series, it didn't work quite as well as you wanted it to, and now you're looking to rebrand it. I'm your guy. Anyway, if you feel like I can be useful, I can be reached at chris@chrisfoxwrites.com. I'm really loving this and would love to do some more consulting. So let me know if you need that help. In the meantime, I am going to get back to the writing. Book 3 is going extraordinarily well. The feedback I got from people on book 1 and 2, they told me which characters they want to know more about. So now that I'm writing book 3, guess who some of the point of view characters are? Those people they want to know more about. So it kind of gave me a direction and a way to build the plot, and I'm excited about it. Each book is individual in the sense that it's like Indiana Jones. You get a compact adventure where you don't have to have seen any of the other movies, but they build on each other. So if you have seen the other movies, or in my case, read the books, you're going to pick up differences and understand that Mitch is growing as a person and see sort of an overall meta plot kind of occurring in the background. Anyway, like I said, got to get back to the writing, and I will see you guys next week.